Commander Aaron Cale had spent most of his life looking up at the stars. From the moment he could remember, he had dreamed of leaving Earth, traveling to distant planets and discovering new worlds. His childhood was filled with stories of explorers and pioneers, people who had braved the unknown. And now, at the age of 35, Aaron was about to take the most daring step of his life. Humanity had reached a level of technology that seemed almost magical to previous generations. Faster-than-light travel was still a dream, but stasis travel had become a reality. By freezing a human body in suspended animation, explorers could travel for thousands of years without aging. It was dangerous and unpredictable, but it allowed humans to explore far-off planets that were otherwise unreachable. Aaron had trained for this moment for over a decade, learning every system, every protocol, and every emergency procedure on the Starship Horizon. The Horizon was a sleek, silver vessel designed for speed and endurance. It was not a warship nor a luxury liner. It was a ship built for discovery. Its hull was reinforced to withstand cosmic storms, and its navigation systems were precise enough to guide it through the darkest reaches of space. Inside, Aaron had everything he would need for a short mission: food rations, supplies, and most importantly, the stasis chamber. Aaron's mission was simple in theory: travel to a distant, habitable planet in the Epsilon sector, study it, and return after 50 years. 50 years seemed like a long time to most humans, but in the grand scheme of the galaxy, it was just a blink. He would be placed in stasis for the majority of the journey, letting the ship travel through light years of space while he slept. On the day of departure, Aaron stood on the observation deck staring at Earth one last time. The blue and green planet seemed calm and eternal, but he knew that nothing lasted forever. The cities below buzzed with life, unaware of the risks humans were taking in the name of exploration. He breathed in deeply and whispered to himself, "Here goes everything." The countdown began. The ship's engines hummed softly, a vibration that traveled through Aaron's body and reminded him that the ship was alive. The horizon lifted off smoothly, breaking free from Earth's atmosphere and entering the black void of space. Stars streaked past like silver rain as the ship accelerated toward the unknown. Everything seemed normal at first. Aaron went through his final checks, ensured the stasis chamber was functioning correctly, and made a last video log for the mission archives. "If anyone ever finds this," he said, his voice calm and steady, "I went looking for the stars. That's all any of us can do." Then he lay down in the chamber, closed the lid, and felt the cool hum of the stasis field envelop him. At first, the sleep was ordinary. His mind drifted in a dreamless void, weightless and timeless. But then slowly he began to dream. At first the dreams were faint, glimpses of Earth, his childhood home, the people he loved. Then the visions grew vivid, almost like memories from another life. He saw cities that stretched higher than clouds, forests that glowed with strange colors, and people who spoke languages he could not understand. Time became meaningless. Seconds stretched into minutes, minutes into hours, and hours into years. Aaron felt himself moving through centuries in the span of a moment. He saw the rise and fall of empires, civilizations built and destroyed, and the endless turning of the stars. The dreams were beautiful but strange, almost like someone else was showing him the story of the universe. Then, something changed. The ship jolted violently. Alarms blared in his mind, and though he could not move, he felt the panic of systems failing around him. The stasis chamber shook. Lights flashed, and a voice echoed through the darkness, distorted and broken. "Emergency? Course deviation. Cosmic storm." Aaron tried to wake, tried to move, tried to reach for anything, but he was trapped in the stasis field. The ship was being tossed through space like a leaf in a storm. He felt fear, but it was different from anything he had known on Earth. It was a deep, infinite fear, the kind that came from knowing that the universe was vast, powerful, and indifferent. And then, silence. For a long time there was nothing. No sound, no light, no sensation. The ship drifted, the stars rushing past outside the hull, and Aaron slept. Or at least he thought he did. When he finally began to stir, it was not with the gentle awakening he had expected. The stasis chamber opened slowly, releasing him from the cocoon of suspended time. His body felt weak, his muscles stiff and uncooperative. The first thing he noticed was the quiet. Too quiet. The ship's hum was gone, the alarms were silent, and even the soft hiss of life support seemed distant. Aaron forced himself upright, blinking against the bright light of the control deck. He tried to contact Earth, but the communication systems were dead. Not just weak signals or static, dead. No connection, no response, no trace of humanity. His heart raced as he ran through the system diagnostics. The ship was functioning enough to keep him alive, but something was wrong. Something was very wrong. A single log file flickered to life on the console. It was the final entry from the ship's AI before the storm. Time displacement detected. Ship off course. Estimated temporal deviation unknown. Aaron felt a chill. Temporal deviation? Could it mean... He checked the stasis chamber logs, scanning every calculation, every timestamp, and then he saw it. The number that made his blood run cold. 15,000 years. 15,000 years had passed. While he had slept, while he had dreamed, the universe had moved on without him. The Earth he had left behind was gone, his friends and family long dead, civilizations risen and fallen. He had not traveled decades, he had traveled millennia. For a moment, Aaron felt despair. The weight of 15,000 years pressed on him, a crushing reminder of how small and fragile humanity truly was. But then slowly, determination replaced the fear. He had trained for this. He was an explorer, a survivor. He could not give up now. He turned his attention to the unknown planet the horizon had originally been traveling toward. It was still within reach, a small blue-green dot on the ship's sensors. He adjusted the navigation systems, plotting a course. If life still existed there, if any trace of civilization remained, he would find it. If not, he would be the first to see what remained. As the ship descended toward the planet, Aaron peered out at the surface below. At first it looked beautiful, like any other untouched world. Forests stretched for miles, mountains rose proudly, and rivers sparkled in the sunlight. But as he drew closer, he saw signs of abandonment. Cities lay in ruins, their towers collapsed, streets empty. Bridges hung broken over dried rivers, and strange, unrecognizable structures jutted from the ground. Aaron's mind raced. How could a civilization vanish so completely? What had happened here? He landed the ship on a flat plateau outside the largest city and stepped out, his boots crunching against dust and rubble. The air was breathable but dry and stale, carrying a faint metallic scent. He walked through the empty streets, each step echoing like a drumbeat in a cathedral. The buildings were strange yet familiar, a mix of human design and alien influence. He could see carvings on the walls, symbols that made no sense to him yet somehow felt significant. It was as if the city itself was trying to speak, to tell him a story he could not yet understand. As he explored further, Aaron found the remnants of technology, machines partially buried in sand, screens flickering weakly with ghostly images and vehicles frozen in time. It was a graveyard of a once great civilization, a museum of human ambition and achievement that had crumbled into dust. And yet, despite the emptiness, Aaron felt something else. Hope. If humanity or its descendants had once thrived here, then perhaps it could thrive again. Perhaps he could uncover the secrets of the past, learn from the mistakes of those who came before, and find a way to ensure that humanity endured. Even after 15,000 years, Aaron took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past and the potential of the future pressing on him at the same time. He knew this was only the beginning. The ruins held answers, dangers, and discoveries beyond imagination, and he would uncover every one of them, because no matter how much time had passed, no matter how alone he might feel, he was human. And humans never give up. The first light of the alien sun fell across the ruins, casting long, jagged shadows between collapsed towers and shattered streets. Commander Aaron Kale adjusted the strap of his utility belt and stepped carefully over broken pavement. Every step he took sent small clouds of dust swirling into the quiet air. The planet was alive in its stillness, but it was not alive with people. Aaron had expected to find cities, perhaps small communities of survivors, or at least automated systems still operating. Instead, he found silence, a strange and heavy quiet that pressed against his mind. The air was breathable yet stale, carrying faint traces of burnt metal and scorched stone. Something had happened here, something that had ended life as he had known it. He approached what seemed to be the central square of the city. Buildings that once must have soared into the sky now lay in ruins, their skeletal frames twisted and rusted. Bridges had fallen into dried rivers, leaving jagged cliffs of concrete and metal. He ran his fingers along the smooth surface of a wall carved with faded symbols, some geometric, some swirling, and some almost like writing, though he could not recognize it. These people were human, and yet not quite, he muttered to himself. The architecture was familiar enough for him to recognize its purpose, yet foreign enough to suggest collaboration with alien minds. Somewhere in these ruins lay answers if he could only find them. The first few hours were spent exploring cautiously. Aaron scavenged what he could from the ruins: small power cells, emergency rations, and a few tools that had survived the centuries. He found data terminals partially buried under rubble, some flickering weakly with faint holographic images. Touching them sent small sparks into the air, a warning that the technology was unstable after millennia. Then he discovered something extraordinary. A small building had survived almost entirely intact, its doors sealed shut by a strange force. With careful effort, Aaron managed to open it. Inside, he found walls lined with strange glass panels, each displaying moving images that seemed to play scenes from the past. Cities bustling with humans, humans interacting with alien species, technological marvels beyond his imagination. Aaron felt a chill. These were memories of a world that no longer existed. He pressed his hand to one of the panels and it flickered to life more clearly. A family of humans walked through a garden filled with glowing plants. A massive city floated in the sky above them. He saw children laughing, machines working, and humans and aliens cooperating in harmony. And then suddenly the scenes turned dark. Fires consumed buildings, machines malfunctioned, and panic spread through the streets. The hologram showed humans fleeing, some carrying children, others carrying strange devices. Explosions rocked the cities, sending fragments of technology and people alike into the air. Aaron stepped back, his heart pounding. Whatever had happened here had been catastrophic, but the images were incomplete, broken, like someone had deliberately erased parts of the past. The destruction was vivid, but the cause remained unclear. Determined to find more clues, Aaron ventured further into the city. The streets were littered with debris, fallen statues, and vehicles frozen mid-motion. Some machines were still operational, their lights flickering weakly as if the planet itself refused to let them die completely. As he explored, he noticed strange plants growing between cracks in the concrete. They were unlike any vegetation he had seen on Earth, glowing faintly and moving subtly, almost as if they were aware of his presence. He realized that the planet had continued its life, even after humanity, or whatever had lived here, had vanished. Nature was reclaiming its territory, slowly and silently. Hours turned into a full day, and Aaron finally reached what appeared to be a government or research center. The building was larger and more fortified than the others, its walls engraved with complex symbols. He pushed open the massive doors and stepped inside. Dust and silence greeted him, but there was more than that. In the center of the main chamber lay a circular platform, cracked but intact. Embedded within it was a large crystal, pulsing faintly with energy. Aaron approached cautiously. His instincts told him this was important. Perhaps it was a power source, a communication device, or something else entirely. Whatever it was, it had survived thousands of years, untouched by the destruction around it. He touched the crystal lightly, and suddenly, holographic projections filled the room. Entire cityscapes, humans walking alongside aliens and machines humming with life appeared around him. The scenes were detailed, showing daily life, education, and even celebrations. For a moment, Aaron felt as if he were standing in a living city, surrounded by life and energy. But then the holograms shifted. They showed arguments, conflicts, and warnings. Humans and aliens working together, yet tensions rising. The technology, once a source of progress, became a tool of fear. Explosions tore through streets, massive structures collapsed, and fires spread uncontrollably. He saw a sky filled with dark smoke and then silence again. Aaron stepped back, trembling slightly. He had uncovered the story of this civilization, but it was incomplete. He did not know who or what had caused the destruction, yet the images left no doubt. Humanity had once thrived here, alongside alien species, achieving wonders beyond imagination. Determined to find more answers, Aaron explored the remaining floors of the building. He discovered archives and storage rooms, filled with devices that had survived the cataclysm. Some were simple tools. Others were advanced machines capable of storing data, energy, or even biological samples. Aaron felt a mix of awe and fear. He was walking through the remnants of a civilization that had achieved greatness, and yet had been destroyed. In one room, he found a small tablet-like device, its surface etched with symbols that glowed faintly when touched. When he activated it, a soft, almost musical voice filled the chamber. "Welcome, last visitor. You have awakened when the time has changed. You are alone, but you are not without purpose." Aaron froze. The voice was human, yet somehow artificial. It belonged to a machine, a creation of the civilization that had once thrived here. The device continued. "We were the keepers of knowledge. We recorded our history, our triumphs, and our failures. You must understand what was lost before you can rebuild or explore further." The voice projected holographic maps of the planet, showing cities, forests, rivers, and oceans. Red markers indicated sites of destruction, while green markers highlighted areas that were still stable. Aaron realized that the planet, despite the devastation, still held life. Perhaps there were survivors, or at least places where life could be sustained. He spent hours interacting with the device, learning what he could. The holograms revealed hints of technology that could rebuild infrastructure, purify water, generate energy, and even restore damaged ecosystems. But they also warned of dangers, unstable regions, remnants of destructive forces, and anomalies that could harm him if he was careless. By the end of the day, Aaron had gathered enough knowledge to make a plan. He would explore the planet more systematically, uncovering lost technology, searching for any signs of life, and understanding the story of the people who had once called this place home. He was alone, yes, but he was also the first human in 15,000 years to walk this world. That gave him purpose and hope. As the alien sun set, casting a warm glow over the ruined city, Aaron looked out from the tallest intact building. Shadows stretched across the streets, and the ruins seemed almost alive in the fading light. The silence no longer felt oppressive. It was a challenge, a call to action. Aaron whispered to himself. "I will uncover your story. I will find what was lost. And maybe I will help humanity rise again." For the first time since awakening, he felt a spark of excitement. The ruins were not just reminders of what had ended. They were keys to a new beginning. And he would not rest until he had discovered every secret they held. Commander Aaron Kale woke to the soft hum of the planet at dawn. The ruins were bathed in a golden light, and for the first time since his awakening, he noticed something that made him pause. Small movements in the distance, tiny flashes of color between the cracks in the streets and the rubble. Life. He approached cautiously, his hand hovering over the utility belt where he kept his tools. At first he thought it was a trick of the light, but as he stepped closer, he saw plants unlike any on Earth. Their stems glowed faintly and their leaves pulsed as if they were breathing. They moved subtly, swaying in a rhythm that seemed deliberate, almost aware of his presence. Aaron knelt down and studied one of the plants. Its surface was smooth and semi-translucent, with veins of light running through it. He carefully touched a leaf and it recoiled gently, almost like a shy creature. His scientific curiosity flared. These plants had adapted over thousands of years, evolving in ways he could not yet understand. As he explored further, he found evidence that life had not entirely vanished. Small animals scurried between ruins. Some resembled Earth creatures, while others were completely alien. One had multiple legs and translucent skin, its internal organs glowing faintly. Another had wings like delicate glass, shimmering as it flitted through the ruins. Aaron realized that the planet itself had continued its existence, even after its civilization had vanished. Nature had adapted, mutated, and survived, turning the abandoned cities into a strange, living ecosystem. He could almost feel the pulse of life beneath the ruins, subtle but persistent. While examining a partially collapsed building, Aaron stumbled upon something unexpected. An artifact of technology unlike anything he had seen before. It was a small metallic device, smooth and compact with faint blue lights that blinked intermittently. He carefully picked it up and examined it. The artifact felt warm, almost alive, as if it had been waiting for someone to find it. Suddenly, a holographic display projected from the device. A three-dimensional map of the city appeared, showing locations marked in green, red, and yellow. The green zones seemed to indicate areas where life still existed. Red zones showed destruction or danger, and yellow zones suggested unknown anomalies. A soft voice emerged from the artifact, calm and melodic. Explorer detected. You are authorized to access records of this sector. Approach with caution. Aaron's heart raced. The voice was human-like, yet unmistakably artificial. It was a relic from the lost civilization, designed to guide those who might come after. He realized that the artifact was not just a tool, it was a key, a record keeper, and perhaps even a guardian. He followed the map's green markers, navigating through the ruins carefully. As he walked, he noticed signs of engineering far beyond what humans had achieved 15 millennia ago. Machines stood frozen in time, some partially operating, humming softly. Crystalline power cores glowed faintly, their energy still alive after all these years. Aaron paused near a collapsed overpass and examined a machine that appeared to be some kind of transport vehicle. Its hull was cracked, but the engine emitted a faint vibration, as if it could be repaired. He realized that even after millennia, the technology of this lost civilization had been built to last. Humans, or whoever had lived here, had created things with longevity in mind. He continued his exploration and reached a larger structure, a building partially buried under sand and debris. The artifact's holographic map indicated that something important lay inside. Aaron cleared the entrance carefully and stepped into a dimly lit hall. The hall was filled with strange devices and containers of unknown material, some transparent, showing samples of flora and fauna preserved perfectly. Others held machinery, delicate and precise, waiting for someone to awaken them. He felt a thrill run through him. These ruins were not just empty shells, they were a treasure trove of knowledge waiting to be discovered. As he explored, Aaron noticed a flicker of movement in the shadows. He froze. A small creature emerged, unlike anything he had seen. Its body was semi-transparent with soft glowing veins running through it. It had multiple eyes arranged in a circular pattern, and thin limbs that moved with remarkable precision. The creature observed him, tilting its head as if curious. Aaron did not move. He remembered the lessons of his training. Sudden actions could provoke unknown species. Slowly, he reached into his pack and pulled out a small piece of dried ration, holding it out gently. The creature approached cautiously, sniffed the food, and then took it. Its movement was graceful, almost intelligent. Aaron realized that despite the cataclysm that had destroyed the civilization, life had persisted and adapted. These creatures were the survivors, evolving alongside the planet itself. He spent hours observing the creatures, noting their behaviors, interactions, and patterns. They seemed organized, almost like a community, despite their small numbers. Aaron realized that the planet still had a rhythm, a balance between ruin and life. Later, as he explored deeper into the hall, he discovered a sealed chamber, larger than any he had seen before. The artifact indicated that this chamber contained critical information. With careful effort, he opened the door and stepped inside. The chamber was filled with holographic projections. Scenes of the past played before him. Humans working alongside alien species, massive cities in harmony with nature, and technology that integrated seamlessly with the environment. But then the projections changed, showing conflict and disaster. Fires burned through cities, machines failed, and the people ran in panic. Aaron realized that this civilization had not vanished peacefully. They had faced catastrophe, though the cause remained unclear. Yet even in the chaos, he saw signs of resilience. Some humans and aliens had worked to preserve knowledge, protect life, and store technology for the future. He reached out to touch one of the holograms, and the artifact responded with a soft voice. Knowledge preserved. Survivor guidance activated. Follow the path to learn the truth. Aaron understood that he was being guided, as if the planet itself had prepared for his arrival. The artifact was showing him not only what had happened, but also how to survive and navigate the world safely. As night fell, the ruins glowed faintly under the alien moon. Aaron set up a temporary camp inside the large hall. The creatures he had encountered earlier circled nearby, observing him without fear. He felt a strange sense of companionship, even if they were not human. He looked out over the ruined city from the hall's balcony. Broken towers, collapsed streets, and silent machines stretched as far as the eye could see. And yet life persisted. The glowing plants, the small creatures, and the faint energy of dormant machines reminded him that the planet was not entirely dead. Aaron knew that the next steps would be dangerous. The artifact had shown areas of potential hazard, places where the planet itself seemed unstable. He would have to explore carefully, understanding both the life forms and the remnants of technology. But he felt ready. For the first time since waking, he felt a deep connection to this world, not just as an explorer, but as a human carrying the hope of an entire species. Before sleeping, he activated the artifact again. Tomorrow we continue. There is more to see, more to learn. You are not alone. The soft voice reassured him, and Aaron allowed himself a moment of calm. As he lay down, he thought of the humans who had once walked this planet, the allies they had worked alongside, and the civilization that had thrived here. Their story had ended, but perhaps his story and humanity's was only beginning. Outside, the ruins whispered in the wind. The small, glowing creatures moved through the streets. The plants swayed, and the faint hum of dormant machines filled the night. It was a strange symphony, a reminder that life always found a way, even after 15,000 years of silence. Aaron closed his eyes, ready for the challenges ahead. Tomorrow he would explore further, uncovering secrets, facing dangers, and perhaps discovering whether he was truly alone in the galaxy, or if remnants of humanity still survived. He had come seeking ruins, but he had found signs of life. And for a human who had awakened after 15 millennia, that was a discovery worth everything. The dawn on the ruined planet was quiet, almost peaceful. Aaron Cale stood at the edge of a collapsed plaza, observing the remnants of a civilization that had vanished long before he was even born. Yet, unlike the first day he had explored these ruins, today held something new. Possibility. Aaron's attention returned to the sealed chamber he had discovered the previous day. The artifact had indicated that it contained critical knowledge about the planet and its lost inhabitants. Determined to learn more, he carefully cleared the entrance of rubble, step by step, mindful of unstable structures. Every crack in the walls seemed to whisper secrets of a forgotten time, urging him forward. Inside, the chamber was unlike anything he had seen before. Rows of devices lined the walls, each humming softly with latent energy. Some resembled computers, others were clearly biological in nature, integrated with glowing plant-like structures. In the center of the room stood a tall cylindrical unit, covered in dust and grime, yet unmistakably alive with power. Aaron approached it cautiously. A panel slid open as he neared, revealing what appeared to be a humanoid figure inside, a dormant AI construct. Its surface was smooth, metallic, and almost lifelike. The chest bore a faint insignia glowing softly. He could feel the faint pulse of energy emanating from it, like a heartbeat. "Hello?" Aaron whispered, unsure if the construct could hear him. The AI stirred. Lights flickered across its surface, and a soft, melodic voice emerged. "Human detected. Identification confirmed. Activation sequence initiated." Aaron's eyes widened. He had never expected to find an operational AI from a civilization lost 15,000 years ago. You survived all this time?" he asked. "In stasis, awaiting human presence." The AI replied, "You are authorized to access historical archives and survival protocols." Aaron stepped closer, his mind racing. This AI could be the key to understanding what had happened on this planet. It could also guide him in navigating the dangers that still lingered. The construct activated fully, standing upright, and projected a holographic map of the city. Streams of data, colored symbols, and historical markers appeared in the air. Aaron reached out, interacting with the holograms. Each layer of information revealed more of the lost civilization, their cities, their alliances with alien species, and their remarkable technological achievements. But the AI also revealed the darker side. Holograms showed conflict escalating over resources, technological experiments gone wrong, and environmental disasters. Fires burned through cities, entire districts collapsed, and the population dwindled rapidly. Aaron felt a knot tighten in his chest. Despite their brilliance, these humans had not been invincible. Why did it end? Aaron asked, his voice quiet. Was it war? Disease? Something else? The AI paused for a moment before responding. Combination of factors: environmental collapse, resource mismanagement, and conflict. Certain technologies accelerated destruction. Some survivors preserved knowledge and artifacts. Others sought refuge beyond this world. Aaron's mind raced. Humanity had reached such heights, yet even brilliance could not prevent ruin. And now, after 15,000 years, he was walking among the remnants, trying to piece together a civilization that had once been magnificent. The AI continued its guidance, pointing to underground vaults and hidden caches scattered throughout the city. Artifacts stored for future discovery, knowledge preserved for humanity's return. Aaron realized that this planet had been preparing for someone like him, or at least for someone human, to arrive and learn. He ventured deeper into the chamber and found storage units filled with devices and materials. Some contained preserved biological samples, including plants and animals adapted to the planet. Others held advanced tools, energy sources, and fragments of the lost civilization's technology. Each discovery was more fascinating than the last. As Aaron examined a cluster of machines, a faint hum filled the room. He looked up to see a large holographic display activate, showing scenes of everyday life. Humans walking through streets, teaching children, collaborating with aliens, and building vast cities filled the projection. The holograms were vivid and detailed, almost as if the people themselves were standing in front of him. Then the scenes shifted. Dark clouds gathered over cities, fires erupted, and machinery malfunctioned. Panic and fear spread through the hologram's inhabitants. Aaron watched silently, understanding the tragedy that had unfolded. This was history, preserved not in books, but in technology and light. The AI spoke again. You are the first human to witness these events directly. Knowledge is incomplete, but patterns remain. Learning from the past is essential for survival and future success. Aaron nodded. He had spent months studying history back on Earth, but nothing compared to the first-hand knowledge these holograms provided. He realized that survival alone was not enough. He needed to understand why this civilization had fallen to ensure humanity did not repeat the same mistakes. Days passed as Aaron explored the city with the AI's guidance. He navigated through abandoned research facilities, laboratories, and workshops. He discovered machines capable of generating energy, water purification systems, and even transportation units that could still operate if repaired. Every discovery was a reminder of how advanced this civilization had been, and how much knowledge had been lost. Yet it was not just technology that fascinated him. The AI showed him the lives of the people who had once lived here, their celebrations, achievements, and struggles. Holograms depicted families, scholars, engineers, and explorers, all striving to improve their world. Aaron felt a connection to these long-dead humans, understanding their hopes and fears across millennia. In one underground chamber, he discovered a data core, nearly intact. The AI projected its contents, revealing detailed records of alien-human cooperation. The humans had learned from other species, adopting their techniques and technologies, while contributing their own ingenuity. Cities had been designed to work in harmony with the environment. Energy was drawn from natural sources, and education was universal. It was a civilization that had reached incredible heights, and yet, Aaron realized it had not survived. Their downfall was a warning and a lesson for him. If he wanted to survive, and if humanity had any chance of returning to the stars, he would have to learn from these ruins. As the day ended, Aaron returned to the chamber's entrance. Outside, the glowing plants swayed in the alien breeze, and the small creatures he had encountered earlier moved through the streets. The planet was alive, and it had survived humanity's disappearance. For the first time, Aaron felt a sense of purpose stronger than fear. He was not just exploring ruins, he was awakening the past, uncovering knowledge that could shape the future. He had the chance to preserve what had been lost, and perhaps even restore what had once thrived. The AI's voice spoke softly as he prepared to rest for the night. Human, the past is revealed, but the future remains uncertain. You are the bridge between what was and what can be. Proceed with caution, yet do not fear. Aaron looked out. Over the city, the ruins stretching endlessly beneath the setting sun. He understood that the challenges ahead would be immense. Dangerous anomalies, unstable structures, and remnants of the cataclysm awaited him. But he also knew that he had allies in the form of this AI, the planet itself, and the lessons of the past. He whispered to himself, "I will understand. I will survive. And maybe, just maybe, I will help humanity rise again." The planet remained quiet under the starlit sky, yet Aaron sensed a rhythm, a pulse of energy and life that had endured through millennia. Tomorrow he would continue exploring, uncovering deeper secrets and preparing for the unknown challenges ahead. The ruins had stories to tell, and he was ready to listen. For the first time since waking, he felt a true connection, not just to the lost civilization, but to humanity itself. The past was no longer just history, it was a guide. And Aaron Kale, human and explorer, would carry that knowledge forward into the future. The sun rose slowly over the ruined city, casting pale light across streets that had been silent for 15,000 years. Commander Aaron Kale stood atop a collapsed tower, surveying the city below. Every shattered building, every broken bridge, every fallen statue told a story of loss, but also of resilience. The planet had survived. Life had survived. And now he would decide what to do next. After days of exploration, Aaron had mapped the majority of the ruins. The AI construct he had activated in the central chamber had become his guide, projecting holographic maps, analyzing data, and helping him understand the alien human civilization that had once thrived here. He now knew the truth. The planet had been a hub of collaboration, technology, and knowledge. Humans had learned from alien allies and had created a society that balanced innovation and nature. But they had failed to manage the very power they had built, and catastrophe had ended it all. Aaron knew he could not let humanity, or any future visitors, repeat the same mistakes. His mission had shifted. He was no longer an explorer merely observing ruins. He was a custodian, a bridge between the past and the future. He descended into the streets below, passing the glowing plants and small creatures that had welcomed him. The creatures now followed him, curious but not afraid. The AI guided him to one of the largest facilities in the city, a research center designed to preserve knowledge and restore ecosystems. Its outer walls were cracked, but the main structure remained intact. Inside, Aaron found advanced machines that could analyze soil, water, and air. He discovered energy generators that could power entire sections of the city. The AI projected plans for restoring the environment, irrigation systems for deserts, greenhouses for sustaining plants, and energy grids that could function without the fragile infrastructure of the old civilization. Aaron worked tirelessly. He repaired damaged systems using parts scavenged from the ruins. Machines hummed back to life, lights flickered, and slowly energy returned to the city. It was exhausting work, but he felt alive for the first time in what seemed like millennia. As he labored, he thought about the people who had lived here. They had built incredible technology, yet they had vanished. He could almost hear their voices in the silence, whispering lessons across time. They had left tools, machines, and knowledge, not to die with them, but to guide those who would come after. Days turned into weeks. Aaron restored energy grids, activated communication arrays, and repaired environmental systems. Slowly, the city began to respond. Water flowed again through fractured channels. Plants brightened, and some of the small creatures returned in greater numbers. The ruins were coming alive, not as they had been, but as something new. Then, while exploring an underground vault, Aaron made a discovery that changed everything. Buried beneath centuries of rubble were sleep chambers, similar to the one he had used to travel through time. They were intact, powered by still functioning life support systems. Inside he found humans, or what remained of them. Not alive in the ordinary sense, but preserved perfectly, awaiting someone to awaken them. His heart raced. These were survivors of the cataclysm that had destroyed the civilization. If he could revive them, humanity could return, not just as a species, but as the inheritors of this advanced world. Using the knowledge from the AI, Aaron carefully activated the stasis chambers. Lights blinked, systems hummed, and one by one the dormant humans awoke. Their eyes adjusted to the light, confusion turning to recognition as they realized someone had come for them. One of the survivors, an elder with silver hair and sharp eyes, spoke first. Who has returned us? I am Aaron Kale, he said, stepping forward. I woke from stasis like you. This planet, your civilization, it can rise again, but we must work together. The survivors looked at each other, some skeptical, others hopeful. The AI spoke, confirming what Aaron already knew. These people were the remnants of a lost world, preserved for the future, ready to rebuild if guided correctly. Over the following weeks, Aaron taught the awakened humans what had changed. He explained the passage of 15,000 years, the survival of life, and the functioning of the repaired systems. Slowly, trust was built and the survivors began to assist him. Together, they repaired more machines, restored more districts, and began cultivating gardens to sustain life. The city, once silent and lifeless, now had movement again. Humans walked the streets, machines hummed, and glowing plants thrived. The small creatures that had followed Aaron became companions to the new settlers. The ruins were no longer just memories. They were the foundation for a new civilization. One evening, as Aaron walked through a restored plaza, he realized something remarkable. The planet, though devastated, had provided everything necessary for life to return. The AI guided them, technology preserved knowledge, and nature itself had endured. What had once seemed like a desolate wasteland was now a place of potential. He paused at a fountain, broken long ago but now flowing with clean water. He watched as one of the small glowing creatures approached the water's edge, dipping its delicate limbs into the liquid. It looked up at him and Aaron felt a surge of emotion. The planet was alive again, not just surviving but thriving. The survivors gathered in the central square. They had begun establishing governance, education, and research programs. Inspired by the lessons of the past, they were determined not to repeat the mistakes of their ancestors. Aaron stood before them and spoke, his voice firm yet gentle. Your civilization was great, he said, and now we have a chance to be even greater. We have knowledge, tools, and guidance, but we must be wise. We must respect life, nurture technology, and never forget the lessons that led to the fall of your world. Together we can build something that will last, not just 15,000 years, but for the future of humanity itself. The survivors nodded, their eyes shining with hope. For the first time in millennia, laughter and conversation filled the streets. The city had a heartbeat again. Aaron spent the following months training the awakened humans to use the technology safely, teaching them strategies to restore the environment, and helping them plan settlements. They repaired structures, planted crops, and rebuilt energy systems. Machines once frozen in time now hummed with life, guided by human hands once more. One day, the AI projected a star map. It highlighted other planets in the system that were habitable. Aaron realized that humanity's return to the galaxy was possible. This planet could be the starting point for a new era of exploration, cooperation, and discovery. Standing atop a rebuilt tower, Aaron looked out over the city. Streets glowed faintly with energy. Humans moved purposefully through their tasks, and the glowing plants swayed gently in the wind. The ruins had been transformed, not erased, but revitalized. History was preserved, yet the future was bright. He reflected on his journey, 15,000 years of sleep, a world lost, and then the opportunity to awaken not just one civilization, but the hope of humanity itself. He had come seeking answers, but he had found responsibility, the chance to rebuild, restore, and lead. Aaron's thoughts turned to the stars. Beyond this planet lay countless worlds full of potential and discovery. Humanity had a second chance, and he would ensure that it was not squandered. With the lessons of the past and the knowledge of the AI, the future could be brighter than anything they had ever imagined. For the first time since awakening, Aaron smiled. He was not alone. Humanity was not gone, and the ruins of the past had become the foundation for a civilization that could thrive once more. The wind whispered through the streets, carrying a promise. The past had ended, but the future had just begun. And Commander Aaron Kale, human explorer and guardian of history, would see it rise. The city, once silent, now hummed with life. The glowing plants, the small creatures, and the humans worked together in harmony, and as night fell, The stars above shone brighter than ever, reflecting a world ready to take its place among them once again. Aaron looked up, taking a deep breath. "We will survive," he whispered. "We will thrive, and humanity will rise again." The ruins were no longer ruins, they were a rebirth.